Somebody once told me that Bogdan Guskov looked a little bit like Shrek. Bogdan Guskov, you can't tell me that one, this dude does not look like Anthony Smith, but also looks a little bit like Shrek. So much to do, so much to see. What you gonna do when you're in there with Big Ank? I think you're gonna get knocked out. Whoa. Shout out for taking it on short notice, though. Whoa. You can't just crap on Bogdan Guskov, man. When you look at this poster, look at that side profile. Magomed Ankalaev looks like the Wicked Witch of the West, dog.
I'll get you, my pretty, and that little dog, too.
Hey now, you're getting knocked out by Big Ank. Hey now, Bogdan Guskov, you're not a hitman. Big Ank is gonna knock you out within 2 rounds. It's what I know. Hey, you gonna shut up or what, man? You're supposed to be breaking down a fight, man, not all these jokes and stuff, man. Shut up, man. Shut up. Does this dude not look like Shrek to you, man? All jokes aside, we got ourselves a new main event for UFC Fight Night Abu Dhabi, which is right around the corner, and I'm a little sad because I was really looking forward to Big Ank versus Khalil Rountree Jr. You had the Muay Thai of Khalil versus the technical boxing / kickboxing of Ankalaev. 25 minutes, southpaw on southpaw. Khalil's been training with Hamzat. Seems like he's taken his game to another level. And, how is he going to bounce back after getting brutally KO'd by Yuri in a fight that he looked really good in up until he got knocked out? Right, and then Magomed Ankalaev is coming off of what really wasn't a fight. He just got absolutely bulldozed very quickly by Alex Pineda to lose the title. So I was really looking forward to that matchup. Unfortunately, it's no longer happening. Enter Bogdan Guskov. And Bogdan Guskov, I know that a lot of people, I haven't really seen what people are saying about this fight, and maybe the initial reaction is, he's stepping in on short notice here. It's going to be a 25-minute fight. That's a lot to ask here. I feel like in a way he's a little bit more difficult of a fight than Khalil Rountree, at least more dangerous. Because in terms of the technicalities, like Khalil Rountree is much better than Bogdan Guskov in terms of the overall striking skill set. But Bogdan Guskov is a lot more aggressive than Khalil Rountree, and he has thunderous power in his hands. And Ankalaev was preparing for a southpaw. Now he has to deal with an orthodox style of opponent. To me, that has absolutely nothing to lose coming into this fight. All of the pressure, in my opinion, is on Big Ank to go out here, bounce back in a big way after losing the belt to Alex Pineda, and come out here and beat a guy that he should beat. Because skill for skill, I don't think anyone is really going to doubt that Ankalaev is better than Guskov at just about everything. Other than the fact that Guskov a little bit more aggressive, maybe has a little bit more power in his hands, has a better submission threat. But outside of that, Ankalaev is the more technical striker. He's the much sharper striker. And I feel like he's the much better wrestler. So this is one of those cases where styles make fights. We're going to see how Ankalaev adjusts here because, in my opinion, a guy that, is taking this on short notice, a 25-minute fight, I just feel like Guskov doesn't have a lot to lose, but a lot to gain. Imagine if he could go out here and knock out Magomed Ankalaev in Abu Dhabi. That would be a massive statement. So I want to talk about this matchup. I want to break it down, talk about these fighters, their styles, how I see them matching up, and give you an early prediction because early prediction, I think Magomed Ankalaev will knock out Bogdan Guskov. And one of the interesting things about the career of the hitman, Mr. Shrek over here, Bogdan Guskov, is this is a dude that is almost allergic to decisions. I think he's only been to one decision in his entire professional career. And that's one of the big reasons that I think Bogdan is getting this opportunity here by the UFC. He was supposed to be running it back with Jan Blachowicz, where their first fight was a draw. It was a super competitive fight to where Guskov hurt him early. Jan battled back into the fight, was able to hurt Bogdan, right? And Guskov is a must-see TV type of fighter. He's going to move forward, he's going to push the pace, and he's always hunting for the finish. And that's what makes this interesting, is he is going to go after Ankalaev. And something that I've been saying about Ankh for a very long time, people are like, this man, he's boring, man. His striking style, he's not very exciting and this and that. And I've been saying for a while, the reason that some of Ankalaev's performances have been rather underwhelming is because a lot of these guys understand that you can't chase after Magomed Ankalaev. You can't do it. You could butcher his legs like Alex and then march him down, but you can't rush into range, charging forward, trying to land a big shot because you will get Ion Kutelabud. And what I mean by that is when Ion fought Ankalaev, he would just come rushing in, throwing these big punches, and Ankalaev will just slide out of the way and snipe you with a beautiful straight left hand down the middle. Ankalaev is a counter striker. He is super tactical, very patient, and just really fights within himself to where sometimes the fights can be a little bit underwhelming. And I like Ankalaev. I know people are like, you glaze Ankalaev, man. I think he's a very technically sound striker, and I like watching a good technical striker. Now, I will say, the broom I got in the closet, it's got more of a personality than Magomed Ankalaev. It's got more of a personality than Khalil. But the reality is, the dude's fighting style, I enjoy watching him, man. He's got a sniper left hand, a really good check hook. He's got a very, very good front kick and rear kick that he throws to the body and to the head. And we've seen Ankalaev make some good adjustments in his game, right? Going to more of a Muay Thai style at moments, switching stances to be able to deal with the leg kicks. Because one of the big weaknesses in Magomed's game is when guys go after his legs, right? Jan Blachowicz did it, Alex Pereira. The good news for Ankalaev is from what we've seen from Guskov throughout his career, he's not really someone that throws a ton of kicks and someone that really doesn't go after the legs at all. Now, if I'm Bogdan Guskov, I'm absolutely throwing leg kicks in this fight. I'm looking to go after the legs of Magomed Ankalaev. But the reason I think Ankalaev is going to win this fight is because if Guskov does land a big shot and sting him, Ankalaev can then shoot a takedown and put him on his back and try to ride out the round to try to get his wits about him again, right? But the reality is, Ankalaev has to be careful about doing that because Guskov's got good submission skills. So that's why I'm saying early in this fight, Guskov is going to be very, very dangerous. He's going to march forward with his hands down, throwing these big shots, and that is where Ankalaev is going to have to be very, very careful to not get caught in an exchange. So the more dangerous fighter, especially early on, I feel like it's Guskov. But the more technical guy, the guy with all the experience in the world that is more of a sharpshooter, I feel like is Magomed Ankalaev. But let's talk about Bogdan Guskov for a second. 18-3 in his career, 15 wins by knockout, 3 by submission, and 13 first-round finishes. That is crazy. Now, granted, a lot of this was outside of the UFC, and early in the UFC, he put on some great performances, and, we got to see that when he came in, got easily worked by Volkan Oezdemir, which wasn't a particularly good look, right? Got submitted early in that fight, put Palga out of there, who just, in my opinion, was never really UFC caliber, was able to put away Ryan Spann, who's looked really good at heavyweight. And Spann's one of those guys that when he shows up, he's got dangerous power. This fight against Billy Alakana, I feel like there's a lot of things that Magomed can take from this fight because Alakana is a very technical southpaw. He was utilizing some good kicks from range. He was mixing in some of the grappling as well and fighting a really strategic game until he ended up getting submitted by Guskov. And I think Alakana, that was his debut and he took it on short notice. So take that a little bit with a grain of salt there, right? Goes out there, knocks out the chinny Nikita Krylov, has some early moments against, Jan Blachowicz, where Blachowicz battles back into the fight. There's no question that Bogdan Guskov is incredibly dangerous. He holds his hands low, moves forward, fires out the jab from different angles, and looks to set up that big right hand, and that's how he gets his work done. Moves forward, looks to throw big boxing combinations, and if he can land clean, he can put just about anybody away in this weight class. And he does have a good submission threat, to where if he can sting Ankalaev and Magomed shoots, kind of a naked takedown and leaves his head out there, I could see Guskov getting into a front headlock position and finding some sort of submission because his ground skills are very, very dangerous when it comes to the submission threat. But he's a guy that likes to box, move forward, hold his hands low, walk into the fire, and throw big power shots. He's got some solid wrestling, but I don't think he's going to out-grapple Magomed Ankalaev, let alone take him down in this fight unless Magomed Ankalaev is rocked. And look, Ankalaev, I know the dude gets a lot of shit, right? And I know that he, as a champion, doesn't have the greatest personality, not the most marketable guy in the world, but when it comes to a fighting style, this dude is fantastic. 21-2-1, right? The one draw with Jan Blachowicz in a fight that I did think Magomed won, but it was close either way. 11 wins by KO, 6 first-round finishes, and most of those finishes are when you recklessly charge after Ankalaev, right, which I was talking about earlier in this video. If you go back to the early career of Magomed Ankalaev when he came into the UFC, right, getting submitted by Paul Craig was a horrible look. And it's kind of like Ankalaev just kind of like, I don't know, melted at the end of the fight. I didn't like the body language and how he just kind of gave in at the end of the fight there, right? Then he goes out there and easily knocks out Marcin Prachnio, right? And he's going through a bunch of kind of cans, right, working his way up. But this Cutelaba fight, he showed people why you just can't run after him, because Ankalaev will pull you into range. And again, this is going to be an open stance battle where Guskov is an orthodox style of fighter, to where Ankalaev does a really good job of controlling the lead hand. And he was doing that against Cutelaba, threatening with the check hook. And then if you overextend, he just slides right out of the way and snipes you with a perfect straight left hand right down the middle. And we saw it both times, man. Right, and then he goes out there against Nikita Krylov, and Krylov put up a good fight against him. But this was a 2021 Nikita Krylov, which to me is a guy that doesn't look like this that you see in the picture, the old man Krylov these days, right? And then going out there, putting up some good, putting out a good performance against Volkan Oezdemir, outscoring him, picking him apart, right? Going out there, beating Thiago Santos in a 5-round fight, which was underwhelming, right? But goes out there, runs over Anthony Smith, the close fight with Jan Blachowicz, where Dana was pissed because it ended in a draw, and that was for the vacant title, right? That could not continue. The tomfoolery that went on the first time against Johnny Walker, right? Where Johnny Walker and the ref were not on the same page. They run it back in the apex. Ankalaev sprints, knocks him out, right? Ankalaev he's a runner, he's a track star, was running away from Ankalaev for 15 minutes, and Ankalaev just had to run after him and throw shots. Goes in there against Alex Pineda to win the belt. It was a great performance. And I know people were like, well, Alex was compromised in that fight. Regardless, Ankalaev fought a beautiful game plan. Controlling the lead hand of Alex, throwing the front kicks to the body, hurt him badly with the left hand, and was really just fighting a smart tactical game. And it was a very impressive win, and something that we hadn't really seen somebody do over the course of 25 minutes against Alex Pineda, right? And then in the rematch, got absolutely steamrolled. People were talking about Ankalaev had an injury. I don't know. What I saw, Alex butchered his legs, mowed him down, showed him no respect in the rematch, and got him out of there. And I feel like that's something that Bogdan should look to do in this fight, because if he sits at range and tries to have this technical back and forth, you go, I go striking battle, Ankalaev's going to win that all day long, in my opinion. And if you go back and you watch Guskov, he fought some dude, I don't know, Vyacheslav, blah, 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 right? V squared. First name started with a V, last name ended with a V. That's the only dude to knock out Bogdan Guskov. And he was able to take advantage of the lack of head movement that Guskov brings to the table, and the fact that he likes to walk into the fire and drop his hands quite a bit, and he kind of leaves his chin in the air. So I feel like Guskov, the key is to pressure Ankalaev early and make him uncomfortable, because we've seen while Magomed can be very dangerous at sliding out of range and catching you with a piston of a shot, that's also you can pounce on him and get him out of there. Kind of, I'm not saying Guskov is Alex, but those are the times to get after Ankalaev. That's one of the reasons I feel like Alex did that, was he's like, look, I can't allow Magomed, who's very, very hard to hit clean, who's very fast and very well-rounded in the striking, I can't just let him operate out in space over the course of 25 minutes because of the speed and technicalities. It's hard to get to him. And I feel like Guskov's going to have to have a similar approach, knowing that your gas tank probably isn't going to hold up for 25 minutes. So I feel like Bogdan is going to sprint in this and be willing to go out there and risk it for the biscuit to knock out Ankalaev or sting him up and walk him into a submission, or be okay with just walking into a trap to where Ankalaev knocks him out. So I don't think this goes the distance whatsoever. I feel like this would be a first-round knockout by Guskov or a second or third-round TKO stoppage by Magomed Ankalaev. I just feel like Ankalaev's better overall, man. He's had several 5-round fights in the UFC. He's been fighting outstanding opposition, right? He held the belt, and fighting Alex Pineda, a guy who's one of the most high-level strikers we've ever seen, with devastating power, to where there's multiple things to worry about, to where he's really making you think in there. Like, Guskov doesn't really make you think. He just kind of walks forward with his hands down and throws these big shots to where they're looping. And when you want to move forward with your chin on a platter, hands down, throwing looping shots against, a crafty, technical guy like Ankalaev, I can't get the vision out of my head of Guskov moving forward, trying to throw a big right hand, Ankalaev throwing a little check hook, and then a beautiful straight left hand down the middle that is going to hurt Guskov, rock him, and then Ankalaev follows up with some ground and pound. So I think we get a TKO stoppage within the first 2 rounds here. It's, a knockout in the first round. I could see Guskov, sprinting on Ankalaev, kind of giving him flashbacks to the Poatan fight, right? Because we've seen that Ankalaev can be a slow starter. But like I said, we saw in the Cutelaba fights, when you run after Magomed, those are the times where he can absolutely line up a perfect shot and get you out of there. So I wouldn't be surprised if Magomed looks to wrestle early. Just avoid, front headlock position where Guskov can, wrap you up, lock you in a guillotine or something like that. But just to slow down Guskov a little bit, because he is very explosive. He's very dangerous, but with the hands down against a guy that's very hard to hit clean historically in Ankalaev, and a guy that is very, very accurate and very technical all around, like, I just feel like this is Ankalaev's fight to lose, man. And he's, like I said, he's the one to me that has everything to lose in this matchup. Guskov is the guy that's taking it on short notice. Ankalaev's the former champion, the one with the name and all the experience. This is a big opportunity for Bogdan. Shout out to him for, stepping in to take this fight, because I think this is a banger, right? You got the more technical guy in Ankalaev, the more well-rounded guy, versus the super dangerous hitman that looks like Shrek in Bogdan Guskov. So I just feel like this is, I don't know, man. Like, Guskov's dangerous, very, very dangerous, and I feel like in a way he's more dangerous than Khalil, but his gas tank is suspect. I think he'll slow down, and especially taking this on short notice and being in a 25-minute fight now in the UFC, all the advantages are on the side of Magomed Ankalaev. Too technical, too crisp, too clean. Think he walks Guskov into a big shot and gets him out of there in the second round. Early prediction, Ankalaev round 2 KO.